First Contact's Challenge. The crystalline spires of the Zeth Empire's diplomatic chamber stretched toward an alien sky, their surfaces refracting light in impossible patterns. Admiral James Harrison stood at the center of the vast hall, his weathered face illuminated by the strange glow of hovering holodisplays. Around him, the assembled Zeth Council members towered in their environmental suits, their insectoid features barely visible behind polarized faceplates. Primitive, High Counselor Vexthor clicked, mandibles twitching behind his mask. Your species hasn't even achieved genetic mastery. Your military forces rely on obsolete projectile weapons and... He paused, multifaceted eyes gleaming with disdain, unmodified biological organisms. Harrison maintained his composure, though his jaw tightened slightly. 6 months of first contact negotiations had led to this moment. Earth's admission to the Galactic Defense Alliance hung by a thread, and with it, humanity's chance at surviving in a universe far more dangerous than they'd imagined. With respect, High Counselor, Harrison replied, his voice steady, Earth's approach to military advancement has taken a different path than the Empire's. We believe there's strength in working with nature rather than trying to dominate it. Laughter rippled through the chamber, a clicking chorus that set Harrison's teeth on edge. The holodisplays shifted, showing images of the Zeth Empire's latest military achievements, soldiers in biomechanical battle suits, creatures engineered to be living weapons, ships that were as much grown as they were built. Nature? Vexthor's translator rendered his tone as amused contempt. Nature is inefficient. Evolution is slow. The galaxy has no place for species that cling to such outdated concepts. Perhaps we were too hasty in considering Earth for membership. Harrison smiled then, a gesture that caught the council off guard. He reached into his uniform pocket and withdrew a small data crystal. Before you dismiss us entirely, I propose a demonstration. Let Earth show you what our unmodified forces can do. The council chamber erupted in chittering discussion. Harrison waited patiently, knowing he had their attention. Curiosity was a universal trait, and the Zeth, for all their technological advancement, couldn't resist a chance to prove their superiority. You wish to pit your forces against our elite units? Vexthor leaned forward, suddenly interested. To what end? A series of trials, Harrison proposed. If we prove ourselves worthy, Earth joins the Alliance as equals. If we fail. He paused for effect, you get full access to Earth's genetic library. All our species, all our biodiversity, at your disposal. The chamber fell silent. Harrison knew he was gambling with Earth's future, but the alternative was worse. Intelligence reports suggested the Zeth Empire had been looking for an excuse to protect Earth by assuming direct control. Better to risk everything on Earth's terms than wait for the Empire to make its move. Intriguing, Vexthor finally responded. But surely you don't expect your unaugmented soldiers to compete with our enhanced warriors? Harrison's smile widened. Not just soldiers. We have specialized units. Teams that demonstrate the true potential of cooperation between humans and Earth's apex predators. The data crystal projected its contents, footage of Earth's elite animal handler units in action. Special forces working in perfect synchronization with wolves, dolphins, ravens, and other creatures. Operations that had remained classified until this moment. Impossible, one council member burst out. No unmodified organisms could achieve such coordination. And yet, Harrison gestured to the displays, here's the proof. We don't need genetic manipulation to achieve remarkable results. We use training, trust, and a deep understanding of each species' natural capabilities. Vexthor studied the footage with increasing interest. These results are unexpected. But surely they cannot match our enhanced units in actual combat conditions? That's exactly what I'm proposing we find out, Harrison replied. Give us 1 month to demonstrate our capabilities. Set up whatever trials you deem appropriate. Let us show you why Earth's approach deserves respect. The council deliberated, their private communications creating a subsonic hum in the chamber. Harrison waited, knowing this moment would define humanity's future in the galaxy. Very well, Vexthor announced finally. 1 month. 3 trials of escalating difficulty. But be warned, Admiral Harrison, if your forces fail, Earth's genetic heritage becomes property of the Empire. And if they succeed? He paused, mandibles clicking rapidly, we will have much to discuss about the nature of progress. Harrison bowed slightly. Thank you, High Counselor. I'll begin preparations immediately. As he turned to leave the chamber, he activated his secure communicator. Control, this is Harrison. Operation Natural Selection is a go. Alert the teams. Across Earth, in hidden facilities and classified training grounds, the best of humanity's animal handler units received their orders. Lieutenant Diana Reeves and her wolf pack in the Siberian facility. Captain Marcus Rodriguez and his Raven reconnaissance unit in the Andes. Staff Sergeant Kira Patel and her marine mammal team in the Indian Ocean. Years of training, centuries of human-animal cooperation, and the future of Earth itself would all be put to the test. The Zeth Empire was about to learn that nature, in all its unmodified glory, still had a few surprises left to teach them. As Harrison's shuttle departed the Zeth capital world, he watched the crystalline cities recede into the distance. Everything hinged on whether Earth's unique approach could stand up to the Empire's engineered perfection. But he had faith in his people and their animal partners. After all, natural selection had spent millions of years preparing Earth's species for survival. Sometimes the old ways were the best ways. The real question was whether the Zeth Empire was ready to learn that lesson. The trials begin. The Zeth Empire's proving grounds stretched across an artificial moon, its surface terraformed into a patchwork of combat environments. Lieutenant Diana Reeves stood in the preparation chamber, her hand resting on Shadow's thick fur. The massive black wolf pressed against her leg, his amber eyes alert as he watched the alien technicians setting up monitoring equipment. The rest of her pack, Ghost, Storm, and Midnight, lay in a semicircle around her, their posture relaxed but ready. Years of training had taught them to stay calm in any situation, but Diana could sense their heightened awareness of their bizarre surroundings. Interesting specimens, a Zeth scientist observed, approaching with a scanning device. Though I detect no genetic modifications at all. Purely natural canids. That's right, Diana replied, keeping her voice neutral. Pure wolf, descended from the same bloodlines that first chose to work with humans thousands of years ago. The scientist's mandibles clicked in what Diana had learned was their expression of dismissal. Inefficient. We could enhance their muscle density, improve their neural pathways, strengthen their bone structure. And lose everything that makes them special, Diana cut in. Shadow growled softly, picking up on her tension. She calmed herself with a deep breath, remembering Admiral Harrison's warning about diplomacy. The chamber's main door slid open with a hydraulic hiss. High Counselor Vexthor entered, accompanied by a delegation of military officials. Their environmental suits gleamed under the artificial lights, covered in bioorganic enhancements that made them look more like walking weapons than diplomats. Lieutenant Reeves, Vexthor greeted her. Are you prepared to demonstrate your unit's capabilities? Diana straightened to attention. Yes, High Counselor. My team awaits your challenge. Excellent. Vexthor gestured, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber. Your first trial will test basic combat effectiveness. Your pack will face one of our standard security units, a Grade 3 Sentinel Beast. Non-lethal combat protocols will be in effect. The display showed their opponent, a 6-limbed creature with armor plates and neural enhancement implants clearly visible along its spine. It moved with unnatural precision, its engineered muscles rippling under synthetic skin. The objective is simple, Vexthor continued. Incapacitate the Sentinel Beast within the designated arena. You have 1 hour to prepare. After the Zeth delegation departed, Diana knelt beside her wolves. "Well, boys, looks like we're about to show them what Earth can do." She pulled out 4 neural dampeners, devices developed specifically for this mission. These should protect you from any psychic attacks their beast might try. Everything else is just like our training. The arena turned out to be a massive enclosed space, environmental controls creating an Earth-like atmosphere. Terrain generators had created a landscape of rocky outcrops and sparse vegetation, providing both cover and tactical opportunities. Diana took position on an observation platform while her wolves spread out below. Through her tactical visor, she could monitor their vital signs and position. More importantly, she could see through their eyes thanks to non-invasive neural links, technology that worked with their natural senses rather than trying to enhance them. The sentinel beast entered from the opposite side of the arena. Up close, it was even more impressive than the hologram had suggested. Its movements were perfectly efficient, each step calculated for maximum effect. Neural implants pulsed with electronic light as it scanned the environment. "Begin," Vexthor's voice announced over the arena's communication system. The sentinel beast moved with explosive speed, covering ground faster than any natural creature its size should be able to. But Diana had trained for this. "Scatter pattern delta," she sub-vocalized, her commands transmitted directly to her pack's neural dampeners. The wolves moved like smoke, splitting apart in a practiced maneuver. The sentinel beast tracked Ghost, the fastest of the pack, clearly identifying him as the primary threat. That was exactly what Diana had counted on. While Ghost led the engineered creature on a chase, Shadow and Storm flanked from opposite sides. Midnight, the smallest but most agile of the pack, circled behind. The sentinel beast's enhanced senses detected them, of course, but its programmed combat algorithms couldn't quite predict their natural movements. "Now!" Diana commanded. Ghost suddenly reversed direction, diving between 2 rock formations. The sentinel beast followed, and ran straight into an ambush. Shadow and Storm struck from both sides, targeting leg joints with precise attacks. Midnight leaped onto its back, his weight throwing off its balance just enough. The sentinel beast's neural implants flashed as it tried to compensate, but the wolf's attack had disrupted its movement patterns. It stumbled, caught between competing response protocols. Ghost rejoined the attack, and all 4 wolves worked in perfect synchronization to bring the larger creature down. In the observation chamber, Diana could hear the Zeth officials chittering in surprise. The sentinel beast fought well, its enhanced strength nearly breaking the wolves' hold several times. But natural instincts, honed by both evolution and training, proved superior to programmed responses. Within minutes, the engineered creature was pinned, unable to regain its footing without exposing vital areas to the wolves' attacks. "Sufficient," Vexthor announced. Trial complete. Diana's wolves maintained their positions until she gave the command to release. They regrouped around her as she descended to the arena floor, their movements showing no signs of fatigue or stress. The sentinel beast retreated, its neural implants still flickering as it processed its defeat. "Impressive coordination," one of the Zeth military officials admitted. "Though surely against a higher-grade opponent." "That was merely the first trial," Vexthor interrupted. "Lieutenant Reeves, you and your pack have earned the right to advance. But be warned, what comes next will test more than just combat effectiveness. We will see how your natural specimens fare against the true achievements of genetic engineering." Diana scratched behind Shadow's ears, feeling the powerful muscles still thrumming with adrenaline beneath his fur. "Looking forward to it, High Counselor." As they left the arena, Diana caught snippets of conversation among the Zeth officials. Their dismissive attitude had been replaced by something closer to confusion, and perhaps a hint of concern. Good. Let them worry. Earth's partnership with its animal allies was about to show them just how powerful natural evolution could be. The next trial would be harder, of course. But Diana had faith in her pack. They were about to prove that the path to the future didn't have to mean abandoning the wisdom of the past. Hidden strengths. Captain Marcus Rodriguez stood in the environmental chamber's airlock, his eyes fixed on the dark shapes perched on the specialized racks before him. 6 ravens, their feathers gleaming like polished obsidian under the artificial lights, watched him with keen intelligence. These weren't just any birds, they were the result of 15 years of selective breeding and training, combining the natural intelligence of ravens with military precision. Your mission parameters make little sense, the Zeth weapons master, Carthal, observed from behind his environment suit's faceplate. Ravens are not predators. They lack the killing capacity of Lieutenant Reeves' wolves. Marcus smiled, checking the neural interface band around his head one final time. Not everything is about killing, weapons master. Sometimes victory requires a different kind of strength. The mission briefing had been deliberately vague: infiltrate a heavily defended Zeth military installation, locate a specific data core, and extract it, all without being detected. The facility was protected by automated defense systems, motion sensors, and genetically engineered guard beasts. It was, the Zeth claimed, impenetrable. Begin when ready, Carthal announced, stepping back to join the other observers. Marcus raised his arm, and Cypher, his lead raven, landed on his reinforced gauntlet. Time to show them what Earth's most intelligent birds can do, he whispered. The raven's dark eyes met his, a connection deeper than any artificial neural link passing between them. The rest of his team, Shadow, Wraith, Phantom, Spectre, and Echo, took flight as the airlock cycled. The environmental chamber beyond had been configured to replicate the target facility, complete with its defensive measures. Marcus activated his tactical display, allowing him to see through each raven's eyes via their non-invasive neural interfaces. The ravens scattered, each following pre-planned routes. Unlike the Zeth's enhanced creatures, they didn't need programming to understand their roles. Ravens were naturally social, naturally intelligent, and naturally curious. These traits, honed by training but never artificially altered, made them perfect for complex operations. Cypher led the way, soaring high to get a comprehensive view of the facility's layout. Through the neural link, Marcus could feel the bird's excitement as it spotted potential entry points. The other ravens spread out, establishing a surveillance network that no electronic system could detect. The facility's defenses were impressive. Automated turrets tracked movement, while engineered sentinel creatures prowled the perimeter. But the Zeth had designed their security assuming threats would come from the ground. They hadn't considered that their opponents might approach from above, or that they might be small enough to slip through ventilation systems. Shadow and Wraith found the first weakness, a maintenance hatch near the roof, its sensor coverage limited by architectural blind spots. Phantom and Spectre created a distraction, their coordinated movements drawing the attention of the sentinel creatures to the facility's east side. Marcus moved carefully, using the Raven's intelligence network to time his movements perfectly. Echo maintained position high above, coordinating the team's efforts with natural calls that sounded like ordinary bird communication but conveyed complex tactical information. Fascinating, one of the Zeth scientists muttered, monitoring the operation. They appear to be demonstrating emergent strategic behavior. Not emergent, Marcus corrected, as he slipped past another security checkpoint. Natural. Ravens are problem solvers. They understand cause and effect, they can use tools, and they can work together. We didn't need to engineer these abilities, we just had to learn how to work with them. The inner chamber that held the target data core was supposed to be the real challenge. Its defenses included atmospheric sensors that would detect any biological presence larger than a few cells. But again, the Zeth had overlooked something fundamental: ravens were masters of manipulation. Cypher demonstrated this by dropping a small piece of debris onto a control panel, triggering a maintenance diagnostic. Shadow and Wraith followed suit, creating a cascade of minor disruptions that the facility's systems had to investigate. The resulting gaps in security coverage were microscopic, but just large enough for Marcus to exploit. Impossible, Carthal declared as Marcus reached the data core. Our systems are perfect. No unmodified organism should be able to bypass them. That's your problem, Marcus replied, securing the core. You're so focused on perfection that you forget about adaptation. Natural intelligence isn't about being perfect, it's about finding opportunities and working together to exploit them. The extraction proved even more impressive than the infiltration. The Ravens coordinated a series of distractions that kept the facility's defenses occupied, creating a corridor of blind spots through which Marcus could escape. Each bird played its role flawlessly, demonstrating why ravens had evolved to be one of Earth's most successful species. When the exercise concluded, even the Zeth observers seemed shaken. Their faith in engineered perfection had been challenged by creatures they had dismissed as primitive. Your ravens, one of the scientists approached Marcus afterward, they communicate in ways our sensors cannot decode. How is this possible without neural enhancements? Marcus watched as his team preened each other's feathers, maintaining the social bonds that made their coordination possible. They communicate because they want to, not because we programmed them to. That's the difference between working with nature and trying to control it. High Counselor Vexthor's arrival silenced further discussion. An educational demonstration, Captain Rodriguez. Though I suspect your next trial will prove more challenging. After all, intelligence without power has limited application in our galaxy. We'll see, Marcus replied calmly. Cypher landed on his shoulder, and the other ravens gathered around him. Earth has more surprises left to show you. As they left the testing chamber, Marcus could sense the shift in the Zeth officials' attitude. Their certainty about human inferiority was cracking. But he knew the hardest tests were still to come. The Empire wouldn't easily abandon its belief in engineered supremacy. That was fine with him. Earth's creatures had spent millions of years learning to survive against impossible odds. A few more challenges wouldn't hurt, especially not with partners like these. Breaking point. The massive aquatic testing facility hung suspended in space, its transparent walls containing an ocean's worth of engineered water. Staff Sergeant Kira Patel watched through the observation window as her team of dolphins moved through their pre-mission checks, their sleek forms cutting through the water with practiced precision. Your previous teams have impressed us, High Counselor Vexthor admitted, his environmental suit systems humming as they adjusted to the facility's pressure. But this challenge will be different. Water is our element. Our engineered aquatic units are unmatched in their native environment. Kira kept her expression neutral, though her hand tightened slightly on the neural interface controller at her belt. Through it, she could sense her dolphin's excitement, not fear, despite the alien surroundings. Atlas, her lead dolphin, performed a perfect spiral, his echolocation mapping the strange environment in detail. "We're ready," she stated simply. The rest of her team, Nova, Titan, and Pulse, moved into formation behind Atlas, their own sonar building a complete picture of the underwater arena. The briefing holograms materialized, showing their objective. Deep within the facility, past layers of security and engineered predators, lay a simulation of an underwater research station. Their mission, defended against multiple waves of Zeth aquatic forces. Your opponents will be Grade 5 Hydra units, Vexthor announced with evident pride. Perfected through generations of genetic engineering. They combine the best traits of multiple aquatic species with enhanced intelligence and strength. The holograms shifted, displaying creatures that seemed to defy natural law. Multiple tentacles sprouted from streamlined bodies, while enhanced sensor organs pulsed with bioluminescence. Their movements were unnaturally precise, guided by artificial neural networks and engineered muscle fibers. "Begin insertion," Vexthor commanded. Kira dove into the specially prepared chamber, her tactical suit automatically adjusting to the pressure. Her dolphins surrounded her as she swam, their natural sonar providing better awareness than any artificial sensor system. The first wave of Hydra units emerged from concealed launch tubes, their enhanced bodies propelling them through the water at incredible speeds. But speed wasn't everything in aquatic combat, as the Zeth were about to learn. Echo pattern theta, Kira transmitted through the neural interface. Her dolphins responded instantly, splitting into pairs while maintaining their sonar network. The Hydra unit's artificial senses were powerful, but they couldn't match the natural precision of dolphin echolocation. The battle began in 3 dimensions, with attacks coming from all directions. The Hydra units were individually stronger than any natural dolphin, their engineered muscles and enhanced reflexes giving them a significant advantage in direct combat. But they fought like machines, following optimal attack patterns calculated by their artificial brains. Kira's team fought like a family. Atlas and Nova coordinated their movements through years of trust and training, herding individual Hydra units into positions where their programmed responses worked against them. Titan and Pulse used their natural agility to evade tentacle strikes while positioning themselves for devastating counterattacks. Impossible, one of the Zeth observers muttered as another Hydra unit was forced to withdraw, its tactical systems overwhelmed by the Dolphin's unpredictable yet coordinated movements. Their attack patterns show no logical progression, yet they maintain perfect tactical cohesion. That's because they're not following patterns, Kira replied through her comm system, even as she directed her team to counter another assault. They're adapting, communicating, and working together naturally. No programming required. The Zeth responded by increasing the difficulty, releasing more Hydra units with upgraded tactical systems. The engineered creatures learned from each encounter, their artificial intelligence adjusting to the Dolphin's strategies. But natural intelligence proved more flexible than artificial adaptation. Atlas demonstrated this by inventing an entirely new maneuver in the middle of combat, using the facility's curved walls to amplify his sonar pulses in ways that confused the Hydra unit's sensor organs. The rest of the team picked up on his innovation immediately, incorporating it into their defense without needing orders or programming updates. Fascinating, one of the Zeth scientists commented. They display true tactical innovation, not merely programmed responses. The final wave of Hydra units was the most impressive yet. These specimens had been enhanced even further, their bodies practically glowing with artificial power. They moved like liquid metal through the water, their coordinated attacks pushing Kira's team to their absolute limits. But the Dolphins had one more surprise left. Years of training had taught them to use the water itself as a weapon. By coordinating their movements, they created pressure waves that disrupted the Hydra unit's enhanced senses. Natural sonar proved more reliable than engineered sensors in the chaotic conditions. Enough, Vexthor announced finally, after the last Hydra unit was forced to retreat. The defense is successful. Kira's Dolphins regrouped around her, their clicks and whistles conveying both triumph and concern for each other's welfare. Through the neural interface, she could sense their satisfaction, not just at victory, but at having worked together to overcome a seemingly impossible challenge. Your aquatic units performed adequately, Vexthor conceded as Kira emerged from the testing chamber. Though I note that without their human handler, they would not have been nearly as effective. That's the point, Kira replied, watching her team perform victory spins through the observation window. We work together. We don't need to engineer perfection when we can achieve it through cooperation. The Zeth Council members conferred among themselves, their private communications creating ripples in the facility's water. Finally, Vexthor turned back to Kira. Prepare your team for transport to the final testing facility. There, you will face our ultimate achievement in biological engineering. All 3 of your teams will need to work together, if they survive. Kira smiled, already formulating strategies. We'll be ready. After all, Earth species have been working together to survive for millions of years. What's one more challenge? As she began coordinating with Diana and Marcus for the final trial, Kira couldn't help but feel proud. The Zeth Empire had tried to prove the superiority of their engineered perfection. Instead, they were learning that nature's greatest strength lay not in individual capabilities, but in the power of genuine cooperation. Evolution's victory. The Zeth Empire's supreme testing facility filled an entire asteroid, its interior carved into a massive arena that could simulate any environment. Admiral Harrison stood with his 3 team leaders, watching as their animal partners were prepared for the final challenge. "They've been holding back," Diana observed, adjusting Shadow's neural dampener. The black wolf pressed against her leg, sensing her tension. The rest of her pack remained alert, watching the Zeth technicians with wary eyes. "Agreed," Marcus added as Cypher landed on his shoulder. His ravens had spread out across the preparation area support beams, their dark eyes missing nothing. Their previous challenges were tests, but not just of our capabilities. Kira nodded, monitoring her dolphins through the massive aquatic tanks that had been integrated into the arena. They wanted to see how we adapt, how we work together. Whatever they've created for this final trial. We'll target that specifically, Harrison finished. The Zeth don't just want to prove their engineering is superior. They want to prove our entire philosophy of working with nature is flawed. High Counselor Vexthor's arrival silenced further discussion. The Zeth leader's environmental suit had been upgraded, bristling with bioorganic enhancements that pulsed with barely contained energy. "Your teams have performed admirably," Vexthor announced, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his clicking speech. "But now you face the pinnacle of our achievement, the Genesis hybrid. A perfect fusion of all our genetic engineering capabilities." The arena's central display activated, revealing their opponent. Even Harrison, who had seen the preliminary reports, felt his breath catch. The Genesis hybrid was a masterpiece of biological engineering, a creature that could seamlessly transition between environments, its form shifting to adapt to any challenge. "Impressive," Harrison admitted. "Though rather than creating one perfect organism, we prefer to rely on specialized teams working together. A philosophy we intend to prove obsolete," Vexthor replied. "The Genesis hybrid possesses the strength of Lieutenant Reeves' wolves, the intelligence of Captain Rodriguez's ravens, and the aquatic capabilities of Sergeant Patel's dolphins, all enhanced beyond natural limitations." The mission parameters appeared on their tactical displays: prevent the Genesis hybrid from reaching 3 objective points spread across different environmental zones within the arena. The hybrid would adapt to each environment, becoming more dangerous with each transformation. "Begin when ready," Vexthor announced, retreating to the observation chamber. The 3 team leaders shared a look, years of training and trust passing between them in an instant. Their animal partners sensed their resolve, each group moving into position with practiced precision. The Genesis hybrid was released into the arena's terrestrial zone first. Its initial form was wolf-like but larger, with enhanced musculature and neural processors visible beneath its engineered skin. Diana's wolves moved to engage, but differently than before. Instead of direct combat, they demonstrated why natural wolves had survived for millennia. They worked the terrain, using pack tactics refined by evolution. The Genesis hybrid was stronger and faster, but it couldn't predict the natural fluidity of true wolf behavior. Meanwhile, Marcus's ravens took to the air, establishing a surveillance network that tracked the hybrid's attempts to adapt. Their natural intelligence proved more flexible than its programmed responses, anticipating its movements through observation rather than calculation. The hybrid shifted forms, developing wings to pursue the ravens. But again, natural cooperation proved superior to engineered capabilities. The ravens split up, using maneuvers they developed through actual flight experience rather than programmed knowledge. "The neural network is struggling to adapt," one of the Zeth scientists reported. "Its responses are becoming less efficient with each transformation." The hybrid's final form was aquatic, its body streamlining as it dove into the arena's massive tank. Here, surely, its enhanced capabilities would prove superior. But Kira's dolphins were waiting. Their natural sonar created a 3-dimensional battlefield awareness that no artificial system could match. They coordinated without needing orders, their movements guided by genuine understanding of aquatic combat rather than tactical algorithms. What truly turned the tide, however, was how the three teams worked together. The wolves used their ground speed to herd the hybrid when it emerged from the water. The ravens tracked its movements from above, coordinating the defense through natural calls that its systems couldn't decode. The dolphins controlled the aquatic space, preventing it from using the water as an escape route. Impossible, Vexthor declared as the hybrid's tactical systems began to fail. It's perfect. Enhanced. Superior in every way. Perfect isn't always better, Harrison replied, watching his teams coordinate with natural precision. Your hybrid is impressive, but it's fighting alone. Our teams support each other, adapt together, trust each other. That's a strength no amount of engineering can replicate. The Genesis hybrid made one final attempt, trying to combine all its forms into a supreme configuration. But the effort proved too much for its enhanced systems. Natural limitations, it turned out, existed for a reason. The creature's neural network overloaded, its engineered adaptations failing under the strain of trying to be everything at once. When the final buzzer sounded, the hybrid lay deactivated in the center of the arena, surrounded by Earth's unmodified but undefeated teams. The wolves stood proud, their natural strength proven. The ravens perched overhead, their intelligence vindicated. The dolphins clicked and whistled in victory from their tanks. An enlightening demonstration, Vexthor finally admitted. Perhaps we have been too quick to dismiss the value of natural evolution. Evolution created beings that can truly work together, Harrison pointed out. No genetic engineering required. That's what Earth brings to the Alliance, not just our individual capabilities, but our understanding of genuine cooperation. The implications weren't lost on the Zeth Council. Earth's admission to the Galactic Defense Alliance was confirmed within the hour. More importantly, a new research initiative was established, one focused on understanding natural evolution rather than simply trying to improve upon it. As the teams prepared for their return to Earth, Diana, Marcus, and Kira watched their animal partners interact. The wolves play bowed to the dolphins through the tank walls. The ravens shared perches with the wolves, completely at ease. The dolphins clicked and spun, celebrating with their terrestrial allies. They still don't fully understand, do they? Marcus asked, scratching Cypher's head. They will, Harrison replied. Sometimes the best way forward isn't to engineer a better species, but to learn from the ones nature has already perfected. The final lesson of the trials wasn't just about military capability or technological advancement. It was about the power of genuine partnership, something Earth's species had been practicing since before humans even existed. In a galaxy obsessed with engineered perfection, that might be humanity's greatest contribution of all.